Hey everyone, Natalie Reese here, founder of NADUPOR, and today I wanted to talk about feeling whole, being complete, thinking that you're enough, feeling like you have to prove yourself, all those stories that we oftentimes, or at least I oftentimes, spend too much time and energy on. And I was doing it again yesterday and today. And my coach actually mentioned to me that I was getting caught up in a, quote, destination gratification kind of thing where I was believing when I get to that point where I feel whole, when I get to that point of being complete, when I finally feel worthy, then I will be able to accomplish blah, 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 blah. And she then reminded me that that's not necessarily going to happen, at least in the way that I've been thinking about it. And intellectually, I know this, but it bears repeating, so maybe I can get down into my cellular structure and where I keep all of my deep, dark emotions and fears. And it seemed to me that it might be something worth sharing today. So, self-worth. Feeling worthy, thinking that you're enough. Fortunately and unfortunately, these are things that we are never going to accomplish in the world outside of us. So, no grade, no promotion, no particular relationship, no amount of money in the bank, no clothing size is ever going to permanently make us feel like we are worthy or enough. Temporarily, it might make us feel really good to accomplish any one of those things, but long term, those are not the answers. And really nothing externally is going to ever help us achieve self-worth. That is 100% a state of being, an internal state of being. And I was thinking about that today and getting a little pissed off with myself because it's not like I haven't put some time into this. You know, I've put a fair amount of work into working through insecurities, learning to embrace and love myself, cultivating self-compassion and self-care. I mean, this is not my first time around the block, and yet oftentimes there are these same well-worn stories, well-read stories, well-played stories, ones that I like to, act out again and again that continue to surface. And I was at a point today where I was banging my head against my keyboard and kind of saying, I don't know how to shift this. It's something I've intellectually wanted to shift, but there's part of me that is really invested in not being enough. And on some level, I think part of that comes from a belief that I need to feel a little bit lacking in order to be motivated to go and do things. So there's that story that our motivation comes from insecurity and not enough, that if we feel whole and complete and worthy, we're just going to lounge about and do nothing in the world. Intellectually, I call bullshit on that, but clearly it's driving me on some level. So there's that part. And then there's this part of me that, is, I think, feeling that maybe I need to atone for something, or that in being of service to the world, that will prove my worth, that I have to prove myself, that good Puritan work ethic that, we're kind of damned and condemned until we show up in our piety and, service to the world, and that's the way that we'll show ourselves and prove ourselves. But that's certainly a narrative for me. And there's some other things, and I don't even know if it's all mine. It's probably a result of, God bless, my parents, social conditioning, religious conditioning, my own unique and special sauce that I brought to the world. But these are things that I struggle with, and there's a good chance that I will continue to struggle with them. But this is what I've gotten to. 1, nothing out there is going to make me feel complete or whole or worthy. So let's just put that on the shelf. This is really about a state of being. And if that's true, is it possible that I can think of it? Oh, hi, little munchkin. Aha! The little huntress. Is it possible that it's almost like a lens, right? So I've been looking at things through the lens of unworthiness, and through the lens of having to prove myself, and through the lens of not being complete. What if I move to a different perspective of acting and viewing life and experiencing life from the lens of completion, from the lens of feeling whole, from the lens of feeling worthy? Is it possibly that simple? I don't know. I honestly don't have that answer right now. These are things that I'm still grappling with. But it seems to me that there is, in this very moment where I'm at, an opportunity to claim my wholeness and to claim my worth, even as in the midst of that, I feel incomplete and unworthy. That in and of itself, I can still have those feelings and those experiences, and yet understand that perhaps those feelings are part of the whole that I am and the worthiness that I possess. Does that make sense? I know that sounds really weird and probably totally confusing, but I think that's part of it. That we have to work with this kind of dichotomy of being, that even though we're human, we are these spiritual beings. Even though we oftentimes feel like, I don't know, my brain's a little bonkers right now. But I think that there's something to be said for this. That in our lack, maybe there's our everything. And perhaps I'm just meant to surrender to that. Does that make sense? Anyway, deep thoughts. It's Friday afternoon. I probably need a good cup of coffee. But I wanted to share this with you because I think a lot of us are trying to get to a destination of something. Love, wholeness, worth, validation, respect, whatever it is. And we're thinking that it's something that we can attain outside of us. And I don't think we can. And on the upside, I think it's something that we can do within, even though it's maybe different than how we imagined it, that it's in the choosing to operate from that perspective or through that lens that we get ourselves there. Even as we still experience or have feelings to the opposite. Yeah. Anyway, the whole world's in chaos right now. I think we all feel a little bit jumbled and upside down. So I'm adding my 2 cents of chaos and confusion. If you're questioning yourself for not feeling whole or not feeling complete, know you're not alone. Know that we're all questioning this and worrying about it and trying to prove ourselves. And yet I realize that if I were to look at you, any one of you, I would see you as whole. I would see you as complete. I would 100% see you as worthy. So why am I denying myself that? Like, what is so special about me that I don't qualify, right? So there's something in there, some sort of self-serving story about how it serves me to feel unworthy. And I think it is a story. Might go deep, but it is a story. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them. And always feel free to email me at natalie@nadupor.com or private message me if you catch this on Facebook. And as always, keep going, keep trucking, Here's to doing this thing called life together. Love and kisses to each of you. Blessings to all of you who are dealing with forest fires, who are dealing with hurricanes, who are dealing with earthquakes, who are dealing with heartbreak and fear and loss. I know so many of us are in those places. So I'm thinking of you and holding your hand from afar. God bless.